Gentlemen.
Thank you, Congressman.
And now I recognize the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Madam Secretary, for your presence here today.
Of course.
And well, listen, again, we want to thank you also for your leadership that you're bringing to the administration. In fact, the Trump administration's pro-worker and pro-business policies are already delivering benefits across the country. And in my home state of North Carolina, just this week, Amazon made an announcement that they're making a $10 billion investment in Richmond County, which is right in the heart of my district, that will lead to thousands of construction jobs and as many as 500 skilled jobs when their data center is complete. And as you know, getting the jobs is only half the battle. We have to make sure a workforce is ready to be hired when the dust settles. And I agree that apprenticeships are a key way to get Americans in jobs, and was pleased to read in your testimony about the ways to expand opportunities to achieve President Trump's goal of over 1 million new active apprentices across the country. So I guess my question is, does the Department of Labor have plans to examine the registered apprenticeship program to look for any ways to reduce the bureaucracy that involve industry or provide multiple pathways for quality programs to emerge?
Well, again, thank you for that, you addressing the apprenticeship program in its somewhat of its entirety, because, you know, oftentimes we say something and then we have to implement it. It is at the direction of the president that we do have 1 million apprentices in this pipeline to grow this economy, to assist those businesses who are onshoring or investing, and as you mentioned, investing in your home state. They're expecting that workforce to be right there. It is my responsibility to work with private businesses and the public sector as well to develop that apprenticeship program to 1 million. As I've toured throughout the country, we're seeing, again, I mentioned 83,000 since the president has been online. And since January 20th. One of the new apprenticeship programs that was just developed was with the International Association of Firefighters. It's something that hasn't been done before. And so we're assisting them in compliance and how to do that, streamlining the actual mitigation of the systems at Department of Labor so people want to engage. They want to register their apprentices. We're seeing that the public-private sector work together. We're seeing that on our community college campuses. We're seeing it at centers of excellence, where private companies are investing in that workforce and sponsoring them so that they have that secured pipeline for investments like in your home state. So when we pair those two together, I could almost guarantee, and mark my words, Chairman, I would like to get over 1 million apprentices in this first year.
Awesome. Can you anticipate any help you might need from Congress in order to achieve that goal?
Absolutely. I believe every time Congress comes up with good bipartisan policy, it helps all of our agencies to further develop the workforce. It is the goal of this administration to streamline and modernize some of the federal bureaucracy and the red tape and the systems that have been in place for far too long. As a former mayor, I often used to think if we could just alleviate some of the red tape without harming the American worker, I think that that is going to be key. It is really an honor to kind of take a holistic approach to how do we protect the American worker and how do we protect the American business. And one of the reasons that the president chose me was to bring those two to the table together so that we can grow the economy as a whole, make the pie a little bit bigger, and live the American dream again. And that's what we're doing every single day. Excellent. So I look to Congress for good policy that I can enforce in order to grow the workforce.
Excellent. Well, in my last minute or so, let me ask this, and it really ties in with what Congressman Wilson had talked about earlier. The Biden-Harris Department of Labor's H-2A worker protection rule has been preliminarily enjoined by 3 separate district court decisions finding likely cause for unlawfulness in multiple aspects of this expansive rulemaking. And rather than halt implementation of the rule until these court proceedings run their course, DOL continues to implement a confusing patchwork of regulations. The rule should, at the very least, be halted or, more appropriately, rolled back completely. And I guess I'm going to ask, is DOL reviewing this rule, and what are your plans to provide this certainty? In my district, I have a lot of ranchers, a lot of farmers that are very interested in this, and they love the H-2A program.
That's right.
And we want to make sure they are concerned about the rising cost, obviously.
Yeah. Every time, again, that there is policy, we want to make sure it's workable and that it works for the American people. It is my obligation to review all rulemaking and regulation and then work with Congress to determine the best outcome of that policy and then enforce the law. And I will continue to work with our stakeholders in our respective states, including our H-2A visa users, to do so.
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Mr. Chairman, I yield back my time.
Thank you, Congressman.